Hi, guys. Welcome to The Lover's Lantern and What Made You the Black Sheep. Group 1, Rainbow Moonstone and Sloth. Group 2, this purple crystal from the Sahara Desert and Polar Bear. Group 3, Orange Calcite and Sea Turtle. And for Group 4, the letter S and Tiger. So go ahead and select the crystal or the card that resonates most with you. Okay, group 1, let's talk about what made you the black sheep. So you pick sloth, and even for myself, as I started this reading, I took longer than I usually do. I was just sort of looking at the cards and I don't know, just really taking my time with it. And, a sloth sort of moves way slower. Um, it's probably one of the slowest animals. And I could see that, you've taken your time. You've taken your time. Um, and when I say you've taken your time, I think it has a lot to do with being somewhat introverted. With the Three of Cups in reverse, I just sense that you like to spend more time alone. And with the Three of Cups in reverse too, sometimes it could point to infidelity or cheating. And I'm not taking it literally like that, but I'm taking it as, um, you know, people seeing you as not as connected or not as, I'm talking about socially connected, and then attributing something like just a negative sort of perspective on that. Like, not being loyal or not being um part of the group. You know how sometimes people will say when someone's a bit introverted, and sometimes good looking too, maybe you are good looking, they'll just assume or they'll attribute like negative uh attributes to you, like, oh, this person's very arrogant, this person doesn't want to be part of the group, this person does not like us. um just just things like that. And with creativity over here, and there was another card. Even right now, I feel like I'm speaking very slow. I think that you take your time. You definitely take your time, even to move past things on an emotional level, with this rainbow moonstone. You know, with this boat and this woman sort of floating through, I could picture you as somebody who likes to spend time to do your creative pursuits, and it being something that helps you calm down and to move through life, with, I'm sorry, defenselessness, righting past wrongs, and uprooting. I could see you as somebody also who takes their time when it comes to being slighted or being upset or being wronged. And I think that leaves people in a state of limbo. Generally, people have a hard time sitting with the discomfort, especially if we're talking about a social circle or family or things like that. They kind of want things to move along quicker. Um, like I'm just picturing a situation where you get into an argument with somebody in your family or your social group, and they just sort of expect, like, okay, it was an argument. The next day, they want to just move past it and pretend like nothing happened. Whereas for you, I think it's very draining. So it just takes you time to reset and to recharge and to, get yourself back into a better mood about it. Here we have fill your cup with sacred giggles. You know, I'm taking that to mean, you know, it just takes you time to get back into that better mood. You know what I mean? And you take your time in more of an introverted sort of way. to just do more solitary activities like, creating things or painting or whatever it is that you like to do. Um, and it's so weird because when I picked up this card when I was shuffling, I mean, this is the deck of different mudras, and I just thought of the number 23 as well. It's number 5. I just picture this as somebody who's throwing up gang signs. I don't know why, but um I don't know. I just feel like the social group is a little bit more harsher than you, because when I think of a gang, they're a little bit like merciless. Like they're not the most empathetic type of people, in order to do what they do. Um and it's right above this righting past wrongs. I think that when somebody comes at you aggressively, like I said, it takes you a long time to recharge and reset and to, bring yourself to more calmer waters, Um, you have the weight of the world in reverse, boundaries, let it go. It's not yours to carry. And I think that this has to do with people crossing boundaries with you or crossing your boundaries. I can picture you being, for example, it could be the slightest thing. It could be that you're not a morning person. And this other person or these people know that you're not a morning person. And first thing in the morning, they're already bombarding you with things and it throws off your whole vibe, your whole energy. And they expect you to you know, move past that for the purpose of being part of this group or this social group or like the social norms in that group. It's kind of like it doesn't matter if you don't like it, it doesn't matter if you're tired, you have no right um, to behave like that. You should move past it. Whereas I think you're a bit more stronger in your boundaries. And they look at it with it's up to you. They look at it like it's a choice that you have, to just move past things really quickly. Um, Here we have breath of the cosmos, my will to thy will, micromanaging the universe. Yeah, so I'm getting to that they sort of want to nitpick at the little things um and micromanage your behavior, and not just your behavior, but when there's some type of situation where there's conflict or somebody comes at you more aggressively, um I think that they're more used to having this battle of the wills with other people where as you retreat, you retreat, you take your time, you move past it. When you move past it, you're not going to be in a great mood if you're not in the great mood. And what the first house is like, this is sort of their outside perspective of how you come across. We have the number 3 here, the number 3 here, and then creativity. The number 3 has a lot to do with creativity and creating things. Maybe you're a very artistic sort of person. Um, and and I think too with uprooting, that's how you look at it. That's how you look at it. Whenever you're slighted or whenever your boundaries are crossed, it's not a simple thing of you just moving past it and laughing it off or whatever. It's more like it goes deeper for you. You could see the roots um over here in this card, and for you it's mostly just like having to uproot it. Like it goes deeper for you. Maybe it could be more triggering for you, and that's why you need that time to reset and recharge and to um and when I say goes more deeper, like I guess triggering is the right word. Whereas like I'm getting a sensitivity with this. um I'm getting a real sensitivity with this, um and with the word even triggering, um because I feel like you don't just want to move past something, you wanna change something as well, and it takes you time to do that. And I'm talking about change within yourself. Um, and what would be an example of that? Like, say somebody says something that really hurts you, and it brings up certain things, for example, from your past, like your roots. You want to work through it. You don't want to just skim on past it and let it be what it is. Like, it goes deeper for you. So you want to look more deeper into it and uproot it from yourself, and then also cleanse your energy as well. And it's just a slower process. And it's not even just that it's slow, it's like a more calming process. So um, maybe, maybe you get stuck with this. You get stuck with this and, you know, but I also think, going back to this card and the gang signs, even when you think of a gang, it's, usually a group of people that have, a similar mentality, a similar code of ethics. And that's what I was talking about, is people wanting to make you behave a certain way, even if it doesn't really fit with you. And it's more difficult for you to go along with that. They really just want to push past it. You know, I'm thinking of somebody who doesn't take social cues. Um, and I'm not saying that that's you, but I'm just thinking of somebody who doesn't want to, take on the social norms per se, of interacting, um, because that seems a little bit fake, or like you're pretending to be okay when you're not. And it's something, I guess you think that is more so a man-made sort of thing and doesn't really align with, your process. Um, and so, yeah, they just look at as, this is up to you. It's up to you to fit in. It's up to you to um to be part of the group, but you've chosen not to be. And there's a level of a punishment for that. Like a like being outcast for that. But in a way, I feel like, with people trampling on your boundaries and not taking into consideration the type of person that you are and what's required for you. Because even here it says, change me, divine beloved, into one who honors my deepest creative passions and needs. So needs right there. Help me value the talents, you have given me, both known and unknown. So, with unknown, I'm taking it as, these people may not know, some of the talents that you have, some of the things that you do on your, individual time, and they may look at it like you're holding not necessarily a grudge, but you're not as quick to come and make things right. And Yeah, so they don't know what you're doing, on your introverted time, you know? Yeah. Yeah, so that's that's sort of what I'm getting. And, you know, with the first house and fill your cup with sacred giggles in reverse, I'm just feeling like they're not getting that perception of you of just being more lighthearted. And it's like they want it to be like that. Um, so yeah, this just boils down to the fact that they think, with it's up to you, that it's up to you to make things right, and to do so in a more quicker way, and to fit in part of this group, and that you're not going with the flow with it. Um, and so there's this desire to sort of, look at you differently. And even with this could be gossiping. People are gossiping about these unknown things that you're even up to. Like, they just don't know. And it'll be like, oh, this person's, I think that this is what they're doing. And I think that they think like this. And maybe they don't, yeah, they just don't have a lot of information about you on a deeper level with um, this part here of help me value the talents you have given me, both known and unknown. And I think some of them just don't know, and it's an unknown factor for them. Um, so yeah, I think that's made you the black sheep, is that you need time to recharge and to step away, and take time to like uproot things from your life. I'm getting like an introverted extrovert. Maybe there's times for you that you want to be around people, and then there's other times you need to take time to recharge. So they'll be like, "Oh, where is so and so?" Well, she's not around or he's not around. I wonder what they're up to. Like they're distancing themselves from the group, and they're choosing to do that, um, and they don't know why. Um, they don't really understand your process. And I think too, this process is here because you're working on things. You're working on things. And like here I am cleaning up these spots. They're like these tiny little spots. Um, like you're very thorough. You're very thorough in what you do. You're very thorough in what you do. In uprooting things from within yourself, the things that don't belong. And that's an inward process, but people just see the outward manifestation of who you are. And that's just what it is, so that's your reading group one. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Bye. Okay, hi group two. Let's talk about what made you the black sheep. Okay, I'm just gonna say, like, I feel better now, but as I was pulling out these cards, I kept hearing, I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's good enough. And I almost started to feel sick, or, in my stomach or to my stomach. I'm getting a really anxious feeling here with Polar Bear. Allow any anxieties and worries to be gently released and offered up to be healed. Um, I think, this has a lot to do with being anxious and having things in your head, keeping things in your head. We have communication, and then we also have it speak up in reverse. And interestingly enough, these are both the number 33. And I'm getting that this is something you struggle with. And, with the number 33, I'm thinking about the master number 33, which is, a difficult master number to be. I think of Jesus at the time, just trying to bring a message, a spiritual message across. And I don't know, maybe there's a sense of being not there yet. When I look at these polar bears, there's the grown one and then there's the baby one. And you know, the grown one is leading the baby one, but I'm getting this feeling of you feeling like the baby one, that needs to be led. Whereas with the number 33, I'm getting more of a leader type of vibe that's within you. And then that repeated thing of, I don't think it's good enough. I don't think it's good enough. And in all honesty, even just doing this reading and the prior one, I just keep getting this feeling of, I don't think this reading is good enough. And I'm going to maybe not even post it. Like, I don't feel comfortable. And I never really get that feeling when I'm doing readings. So I think that's very significant. Same here with consciousness. I'm thinking about this small polar bear, and, with consciousness, it's like, what you think about, what you is, the script in your mind. It's like what you're consciously thinking of. Um, and also with speaking up and not speaking up, maybe out of anxiety or worry that, you're going to struggle to to be the one at the forefront, and I'm just hearing second in command, like, you don't want to be a leader, so it's like it brings you back to because you're not a follower. Like, I'm getting that you're not a follower, but it's making you stand back because you're worried that what you have to say or what you're doing or what you wanna do, it's like there's a script of, like, maybe it's not good enough, and even with speaking up, um, and I think that if you were to, you would get some reassurance that it is good enough. There's nothing wrong with it. You sound perfectly fine. What you're saying makes sense. It's really not a problem. Um, you know? And I think you keep this a lot to yourself with this Four of Pentacles over here, and it's preventing you from moving forward, you know? And I don't know. I don't really get a major black sheep type of energy. I think that's something that you're perceiving in yourself that you don't quite fit in. Um, and that's why we have if you believe in reverse. I just feel like this is a script that you have in your mind and, just not believing um, in yourself to lead. Like, you know, I'm just thinking of second in command. Like you don't want to be the person who is, leading. You want to be play the supporting character in a movie. You don't want to be the main character. You want to play a supporting role. You want to be the person behind the scenes. You don't want the attention. Um, and I think that that's really making you feel like disconnected or like there's something about you that makes you different or the black sheep. But I'm not getting that sense of that being the case. I'm just getting a sense of like that's something that you hold on to. And same with this crystal, like I look at it, it's so pretty. It glitters. But it comes from the Sahara Desert, which is a really dry place. Um, and I'm just with the dryness, I'm getting like a dry I don't wanna say a personality, I'm not saying that your personality is dry, but I think that that's where you feel like it's sort of a struggle, and that's because you're not speaking what's inside of you, um, and, all the aspects of things that are within you. You just really hold on to it and keep it to yourself. And then we have sanctity here through offering even the most mundane problem can become a sacrament. Um, and I'm getting that again with focusing on problems, but not speaking up about it, not speaking up about it. Like struggling to move forward with it. And not believing that what you have to say or what you have to do will be good enough. And it's to a point, like, I want to say that it's sickening. Um, and when I say sickening, it's making you sick. Like I felt so physically nauseous to my stomach. And then I don't know. I just don't feel good. I don't feel good. And I think for you, this is something that you're fixated on. It's just a script. Um, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. And when things don't feel good physically, I think it affects the way you think, with your consciousness. I just I just think that, the main thing that you have to put in the work with is believing that you can communicate. Even if you communicate, "Oh, I'm worried about this. I feel anxious about this. I don't think it's good enough." Even if you just say it out loud, sometimes saying it out loud gets it out of your head. Uh, you know, I release strong emotions. Change me, divine beloved, into one who can easily access all my feelings. Let me bless and release anger, resentment, or bitterness. May I release any emotions that block happiness and contentment. And with this, I'm getting that because, this is your emotions and this is your consciousness. I'm getting that a lot of the script is in your mind. Um, Maybe it's based on feelings and it's like an emotional up and down. Um, but it's like, how can you release your emotions? Like, how can you release how you feel about the script in your head, the anxiety, the worry, things like that. So I don't see you as a black sheep, um, whatsoever. Um, and another thing that I just thought was I'm thinking of the tower being something that completely comes and collapses, you know, things in your life or, ideas that you've had. And it forces you into having to deal with it. And that's another thing I wanted to say is sometimes if you don't try and work on something on your own, the universe is going to come in and force you to in a way that you didn't want to work on it on your own. So that's like the scary thing. Like it's like I'm looking at this Four of Pentacles and this guy just coming in. It's like, no, you got to give that up. You got to let that go. And then being forced into a position where have to, you have to. Um, so yeah, so that's sort of the reading right there is you're not really the black sheep. I feel that it's just something that you believe. And it's a worry and an anxiousness within you. It's making you sick. You are meant to be this big polar bear leading other people, but you just don't feel that it's good enough. And there's um yeah, an inner strength and like it being a struggle and like how to release those emotions, like how to get those feelings out of your body. Like that anxiousness that I was saying in the pit of your stomach, um, that's like somebody or something trying to come and like remove it from you, remove these thoughts from you. Um, and where you're focusing your attention, which is, like I said, this is not good enough. I don't think this is right. I don't think I should do it. I think I should just scrap the whole thing. It's like you get started. Like I've been trying to scrap this video. I'm like, should I just keep going or should I just scrap the whole thing and move on to a different topic? Because this topic's pretty heavy. And then like there's no point to scrap it. Even if you put it out there, let it be out there. You said what you said, and that's it. So it's just a matter of believing that, just believing that it's fine, it's good enough, and so long as you get it out, you get it out. So yeah, so that's I guess what made you the black sheep in your um in your mind. Um, but I don't really see this as other people looking at you as the black sheep. Um, and I think it's hard when you don't want to be a leader, but you're certainly not a follower. Like you have your own message, you have your own thing. And it's like, where do I fit in? Like, I don't want to follow this group because it doesn't resonate with me, but I'm not in a position to want to you know, be a leader, because I certainly sure as hell I'm not going to be following. That's what I get. And it's just the communication aspect and the beliefs. So yeah, definitely something to look into. So yeah, so I guess this is what made you the black sheep, but others do not see it that way. But I feel like the universe is seeing it that way, and they're going to send something in to remove those thoughts and those feelings and those things that you're holding on to that make you believe that. So that's your reading group 2. If you liked it, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Group 3, let's get started on what made you the black sheep. Um, okay, so you picked this orange calcite and sea turtle. This orange calcite, it's interesting because I'm seeing it at the oranges over here too. So it's definitely tied to this card with the Emperor in reverse and Thoth and Divine Masculine. So these are very masculine cards. In reverse, it brings out the shadow aspect, which is, controlling, very, I don't want to use the word misogynistic, but the negative, ego driven. I take it as selfishness. Just you know, the toxic masculinity that people talk about. So this stone has more to do with, happiness and joy and lightheartedness and upliftment. It's a very positive, happy sort of stone with going with big picture thinking, Pleiades energy, visionary, inspired ideas. So this is a very expansive sort of card, big picture thinking. I feel I want to say holistic, um, like a motherly, not mother. It's gives like a feminine energy. A very lighthearted, feminine, expansive, um, cooperative type of energy. Same with sea turtle and conservation, making conscious choices. So when I think of Mother Earth and being mindful of the earth, how it sustains us, um, nurtures us, all those positive sort of things, right? But then all these other cards, for the most part, are uh, it's kind of like the negative aspects of society. So let's go through them. We have Anunnaki, controlling drama, conflict of interest. We have Alpha Draconians, corrupt, unethical cults. We have the Ten of Swords, which is a very painful type of card. Um, and like I mentioned, the two emperors or the two masculine cards in reverse. So I'm just getting that you're the type of person who I want to say has a more uplifting sort of spirit, a more cooperative type of spirit, a more um, integrated, I'm thinking of warfare, and not even warfare, but how nations can sometimes be cooperative with each other versus at odds with each other. I think a long time ago, now there's a lot of diplomacy, we both win, we both benefit, we do trade, like the trade agreements so that both economies can prosper. Um, but, back in the day, and I'm not saying that it doesn't exist now. I mean, we do see it in certain parts of the world where it's very zero sum terms. So if I win, you lose. I don't want you to get stronger. It's very much a dog eat dog world. Um, and it's a harshness to it, and I think of foreign policy, and I mean that's probably the closest example of what I could get. Greed, things like greed, foreign policy, where we don't want our enemies to have weapons. We will destroy their capabilities. Like now I'm thinking about the Iran Israel sort of thing of just trying to hurt your enemy so that they're not capable of things, and it's just a very, I don't know, it's a harsh world out there. It is. There's something genderized about this, with the masculine energy. I don't know if this is more so your perception of the world, um, and the perception of the world, I'm getting night and day, right? In these two cards, there's the sun and then there's the moon. So you're very night and day from this aspect of the world. Um, and I could just picture you being the black sheep in the sense that you'll be talking about things that are more visionary, like I said, just more in tune with nature and cooperation and integrating and working together and creating something beautiful. Whereas someone else can look at you and say, your head is in the clouds, or that's not how the world works, or it's a dog eat dog world. We don't know what you're talking about. This is the harsh reality of what the world is like. Um, and it's a painful thing, when we talk about, I don't know why I want to keep talking about gender with this, because this is a very masculine energy, and this is a very feminine energy. Maybe you're surrounded by men as well who function in a way that is more, corrupt or unethical, or use means to get ahead that you would disagree with. And there's this separation between you and and just the ways of the world. And I think that that makes you different. It makes you the black sheep in that regard. And I think also too, this is, with phases here, maybe you went through a phase where this is how your mindset was, that the world is a rough place. Um, Meanwhile, you sort of lived in this other utopian type of mindset, right? And you viewed the ways of the world as people being, with heart chakra in reverse. And the number four, again, it's the masculine. You viewed it as these people being heartless. You know, Adjustments are required. I'm thinking like this looks like a half moon. I'm thinking about the yoga pose half moon for some reason. Um, and I don't know. I don't know. There's something about that pose that I'm thinking about, like how hard it is to balance in that pose. Um, and that's what I'm getting with conflict of interest. It's like a balance. I don't know. I feel like there's still a lot of questions around this. Of like how you can survive in a world like such as this. And I guess wondering if this is just a phase in your life, or people viewing you as this is just a phase in your life, where you're going to get hurt. You're going to experience some sort of uh, painful sort of end to this way of thinking. Um, this more so utopian way of thinking, this way of these people can think that it's naive and that it's going to end badly for you, and that this is just a phase that you're in and you're going to be eaten up in the world. And maybe also from your perspective, you would like to distance yourself from this sort of mindset that we're talking about, this divine, not divine, this toxic masculinity, and all the ways in the world that, and I'm getting like maybe I don't want to call you a feminist. Um, Maybe you went through a phase of feminism, trying to battle like misogyny and all the ways that, you know, these groups of people can be oppressed by the harshness of the world, um, or by men, you know? Maybe men also look at you as not being in line with their way of thinking. Um, Maybe you speak out on different things like anti-corruption, unethical practices, people who destroy the earth. I just think that it's a very night and day type of mindset that you have compared to a lot of people in the world, or people who have existed in the world for a long time. I don't know if you're a younger person, and I don't know if you started off in a phase of your life where, um, It's reminding me of university. I went to a university where there was a lot of social justice protests and things like that. It was just such a huge school for that sort of stuff. And looking back at it now, I think, wow, we were so idealistic back then. I'm just remembering thinking, I don't know why I'm remembering this, but thinking about the United Nations. When I was younger, I used to think, you know, the United Nations had so much power in the world. But now when I look at it and I see all the chaos in the world, like they're just sort of there, right? At the end of the day, it's like the powers that be, the people who have the strongest veto are the ones that control the world, whether or not there is a United Nations or not. So it's really like a power game. It's a power struggle. And I think that people look at you in a way where I want to say maybe it's naive, but from your perspective, it's not. I think it's just like a higher level of consciousness and a way to uplift other people. It's reminding me of people who have struggled through difficult times, and people wonder, like, say a situation where a family member of yours was killed and you are, in a courtroom while that person is facing trial, and you're the person that stands up and says, well, I forgive this person for what they did. And, I wish that they would, recover and learn from this. And, it's like the spirit of forgiveness, or like a very Jesus type of energy, or like that sort of energy. And then when you're asked why, you'll say, well, I don't want to add to the negativity, the strife, the hatred in the world. I want to feed into the more uplifting and positive, and to change the world in that way. Like with big picture thinking, it's like you're looking at it from a higher perspective. It isn't just from the perspective of the individual and what each individual could get on their own. It's like a dog eat dog world, whereas I see you as being more a person that focuses on the collective and the community and what is better for the community. And I think that just makes you stand out, as quote unquote the black sheep, because you're in an environment where either it's your environment or it's like the world at large, that there is this black and white sort of day and night um, way of viewing and perceiving the world. Um, and yeah, I think you just have a very different vision of what the world could be like. And it's something that fits into your ideals that a lot of people can't see it that way. um, Perhaps even men that you communicate with. I'm feeling a really protective type of energy where perhaps the men in your life, or maybe you have a father figure who wants to warn you of what the world is really like, um, and to just let you know, don't think like that. You're literally going to be a target. Um, if you don't think like how the world really works. And that's from their perspective. Um, yeah. So I think that's what makes you the black sheep. Like you're not really in line with, I guess, the most, I don't want to say the majority of people in the world. I don't want to say it like that. Because I don't think most of the people in the world are like that. But I think there's a lot of power structures where it is like that. And where you do have to look out for yourself. Um, and is very individualistic and corrupt, and don't follow the most ethical practices, are more ego driven and power based. But you're looking at the world from a higher perspective of what it can be like, and being more conscious in your decisions and your choices and how you want to live your life. So this could be somebody who is an environmentalist, a vegan, believes in, women's rights, the rights of, maybe LGBTQ plus, and, those sorts of gender differences, more accepting, and things of that nature. So it does make you stand out. It does make you sort of a black sheep, so to speak, in your mode of thinking. And that's just what it is. But I don't think you're entirely a black sheep. I think that you have your own people who do inspire the world. Like when I think about like the United States, some of the history with black people and them trying to get their civil rights. There were different approaches that they took to have their civil rights. There was the Malcolm X. There was the Martin Luther King and other philosophies. And Martin Luther King was very much having that vision. It's like, I have a dream that one day, it's like that speech. Whereas you'd have Malcolm X, which was a little bit more we got to fight back. We don't fight, like, you have to stand up for yourself. If we're being attacked, we have to attack back. um yeah, yeah, it's very much be the change that you want to be in the world. And people could say that Martin Luther King was a black sheep in the sense that he was different from his time and the people that he it's like Nelson Mandela, for example. Like he grew up in apartheid South Africa, but he had a vision in his mind of what the nation could be like. And he stuck to that. And it was very much different. And I'm sure his own people who were oppressed at the time didn't necessarily stand on his belief system. And so, but in the end, like his sort of belief system is what prevailed in the end. And I could just see you being that type of person. So that's why there is that black sheep element to you, and what made you the black sheep. So that is your reading, group 3. If you liked it, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys soon. Bye. Okay, hi, group 4. Let's talk about what made you the black sheep. So you guys picked this S. Maybe it's an initial, but it's interesting because I see a lot of myself in this reading, and I'm wondering if that's why the S came up, because my name is Sarah. This actually came from a keychain that I have that broke. Oops. But anyways, let's talk about the reading. So, what made you the black sheep? I think you are very big on doing things when it's the right time, right? So you pick tiger, divine timing, good things come to those who wait. And so when we think about a tiger, and going after something, because that's what I first heard, is like you didn't go after it, you didn't go for it. But this idea of good things come to those who wait, I'm thinking of, a big cat, a lion, or a tiger or a cheetah who waits for the precise moment to pounce, to ensure that they get their prey, they get what they want, as opposed to exerting their energy and not catching what it is that they're going after. Um, so that's a big thing that ties into what makes you the black sheep, or what made you the black sheep. And I would say with this time to heal, I'm getting um this other card that I have in another deck. I think it's the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette, I think Baron Reed or something. Anyways, the card is chop wood, and it's about, when it's raining or the fishermen aren't able to go out to sea to catch the fish, they stay home and they, chop wood, or they sharpen their tools. So with time to heal, as instead of exerting your energy to go for things that are not the right time for you or not the right things for you, you'd rather take that time to work on yourself, whether it's healing. Like now, I'm even thinking about getting married, having children. Some people will just hit a certain age and, just go for what's available at that time. Whereas you will wait for the right time for it, with answering the call and the high priestess. Listen to your intuition, have patience. So, this is patience again. This is patience. um, and consider carefully what you want before acting. And so that's what I get with answering the call as well, is just knowing when it's time and hearing when it's time, and using your resources and your energy to do other things to prepare yourself for when that timing comes about. I'm remembering a boss of mine. I remember him saying something like, with hiring, we did desperately need to hire somebody, and he was interviewing, and we couldn't find well, he couldn't find somebody, and his thing was, I'd rather us wait for the right person than to just bring on someone else, because it's kind of double the work, right? You bring someone on, they're not the right person, you train them, it doesn't work out, now you have to spend the money, go through, HR, and do that whole process again. So it actually leaves you behind instead of ahead, whereas you could have waited um, to get the right person, right? Um, and then reason over power. In an argument, the most determined, loudest, or nastiest contestant may win, with little reason involved. To use influence over power to win is harder. Someone highly skilled at using indirect methods will win without their adversary even knowing there was a fight. To do this, you need to understand the situation better than the others to get reason to play. And we have assertion in reverse. So um, I see that you're not a person to assert yourself or to force things either. Um, you don't want to be the most forceful or um, like you're not trying to convince anybody either. And I just want to go back to this part about being patient and waiting, because I didn't think I tied it to the point of the black sheep. So you could be somebody who is not married. You could be somebody who waited for X, Y, and Z. That making you the black sheep, because people on the outside can look at you and say, well, you seem like a normal person. Why aren't you married? Why don't you have kids? Why don't you have this? Why haven't you done that? And it makes you separate from your peers in that way. Whereas you're patiently waiting for what's right for you. And, being a more intuitive person, you're willing to wait. You can't just go forward with something that doesn't sit well with you. And you're happy to do that. You're happy to take time to prepare with Spirit Keeper of the South. um, and you're still young, like you're young at heart. That's what I'm getting. The South is the warmth. And it's not just the warmth. I'm thinking about the age where, like, if we look at the seasons, um, or the directions in terms of stages in our life, like, I'm thinking about the rising sun, or the south. It's the warmth. It's like when the sun is at its height or its peak. Um, I'm getting that, you can be at your peak. You can still be, I don't want to say your teenage years, but in your prime. I guess that's what I want to say. Your prime. You're still in your prime, and you're taking the time and being patient, which a lot of people are going to look at you and, perhaps from the outside package and say, it doesn't make sense. You're in your prime, but yet you have not done this, and that. Where others in your age group or whatever the case is are doing those things, But that with this Four of Wands in reverse, that it isn't time for that yet. It's so much time to celebrate, send gratitude to the divine and the angels for the peace and prosperity coming to you, peace and contentment in your personal life. Um, and you're not going to force this. You're not going to force this. And that's what I'm getting with this in reverse and with assertion in reverse and reason over power. You're not going to force something with like asserting yourself, um, asserting the things that you want. You'll just be patient and wait for the right time. And I guess that's where this reason part comes in. Um, you'd rather you'd rather like, okay, how am I trying to say this? You'd rather, instead of using force, you'd rather um you're just not a forceful person. You're not going to force something. You're just not going to force something to work that does not work. Um I'm getting of like a salesperson who will be either really really pushy and just doesn't take no for an answer, um and make sure that they get what they want from you, versus a salesperson who tries to figure out if this is the right product for you and sells to you on that basis versus pushy tactics. And that's what I'm seeing about you. You're not going to be pushy to try and enforce things. You're going to try and understand and reason your way into like what will work. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm explaining that right. But you're not going to try and force something. That's the bottom line. You're not going to be pushy. You're not going to just use your will, like a strong will to force things that aren't right or to force people to um fall in line with what you want. Because again, now I'm thinking of the example of, finding someone to get married to because you've hit a certain age. And, when you find the wrong person and you try and force things, and you try to move things along quickly, or even if they're in line, even if they're on board with it, there's going to be a lot of incompatibilities where somebody could try and um, enforce the things or the vision that they have versus meeting the right person where you guys share a vision and then you come together and work together. Like there's a difference between that and having different visions and trying to overpower the other person's vision. And you may, or some people may have that capability to be really pushy and get the other person, especially if the other person is a little bit more um you know, is acquiescent a word? Or we'll just like, go with what the other person's saying. Like they're a little bit more of a, I don't want to call them a pushover, but they're more easygoing. And then, that can have problems in the future where at some point they realize like, this is not the life that I want. So, anyways, I think, that pretty much sums up the point of what I'm trying to get at, because you haven't enforced or pushed or been pushy to dictate how you want your life to be, or the stages that society has for where you should be at certain times, because you're waiting for the right time, the right person, and you're being patient about it. You may not have crossed off or ticked off all the boxes that other people can appear to have ticked off. And that makes you in a different status and a different category, and, not um, according to society where you should be. And that makes you different, right? That makes you the black sheep. You can have people around you talking about their kids. You can be at work and, people are talking about their kids and this and that. And you're there like, all right, well, I don't got any kids, I got nieces, I got nephews, but I'm not there yet and I'm waiting. And then the key to getting what you want is to ask for it and then ask for help. Um, with this part and assertion and reason, you may have been feeling lost as to which direction to go in your life lately. Your angels acknowledge this and ask you to put your faith in them. Write down the decisions you've been putting off, then ask your angels for guidance about how to proceed. Um, I am tying this with I'm tying this with asserting. And okay, so I'm also getting with asserting and asking for help or getting clarification on what you do want, and sort of asking like what is good for me, guide me, um, and then intuitively knowing what's right for you. It's like a whole process to it. Um, I feel like you're doing it in a way where it's true to you versus before you go ahead and dive into something and assert yourself, um or not push into something, but before you're confident enough to really go after something, because you want to be sure that it's for you. And then you want to wait for the right time to say, yes, I'm ready for this. Yes, now it's time. Um, so yeah, like that's what I'm getting. Um, and maybe also too, like I said, you're in your prime, regardless of what others may think, you know, a lot of people will say time is ticking, but you're patient, and good things will come. So that's your reading, group 4. If you liked it, please leave a like, do comment and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next reading. Take care. Bye.